Donald Trump is now threatening to go after election workers and political operatives with long-term prison sentences for supposedly cheating him out of an electoral win. I just want to note that there are still several weeks until the election. He's already planting the seeds that the election is going to be stolen from him. This is what he did in 2020 in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election. He's doing it again, and he's threatening to imprison political opponents. So Trump made the following Truth Social post on Saturday. We broke it down piece by piece to read it to you. And so he writes, cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. Now stick around for the two recent examples of Trump admitting on camera that the election wasn't stolen from him and he actually lost the election, but I'll continue. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, he's referring to like absentee ballots, will be under the closest professional scrutiny. And when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. And finally, he writes, please beware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels, unfortunately, never seen before in our country. And he later doubled down on this kind of messaging the next day on Sunday. He also made some baseless claims about election fraud, saying on Truth Social that he expects to win the key swing states, the key swing state of Pennsylvania. He said an interview by Tucker Carlson of an election expert indicates that 20% of the mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania are fraudulent.
Come on.
Just totally made up, okay? Here we go again. Where is the US Attorney General and FBI to investigate? Where is the Pennsylvania Republican Party? We will win Pennsylvania by a lot unless the Dems are allowed to cheat. The RNC must activate now. But just recently, in two different instances, two different events, Trump admitted that he lost the 2020 election. I'm gonna show you those videos in a second, but Cenk, jump in.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. Look, again, when you tell MAGA, hey guys, the guy's unhinged, they're like, oh, show me one thing. As if he has, I can show you hundreds of unhinged things that Donald Trump has done. TrumpBrackets.com, we had to like narrow it down to 64 from hundreds and hundreds. And here's another example. Guys, do you understand that if 20% of the mail-in ballots were fraudulent, that would be the largest fraud in American history by a landslide. It would be the most overwhelming case of fraud. Every local, state, and federal cop would be on it. Whether it was for Republicans or Democrats, it would be a gigantic story. It's not something that flies under the radar. It's not like, oh, Jim Bob and his dumbass friend did voter fraud and voted for their moms, okay? So that's gigantic. You think, oh, he did his True Social, 20% of them are mail-in, because Tucker Carlson, almost everything he says is a lie. Of course that's not true. There's no evidence of it. There's no authorities that say that that's true. No Republican authorities, no anything. Trump and Tucker Carlson give you one lie after another after another. It's a factory of lies, and absurd, over the top lies. Yet we have to sit here and debate whether he's crazy or not. And then, look, the sense that this guy could win is unreal to me. So if you think that, oh yeah, the election was stolen from him, you're lost. You're a lost soul. You don't realize. You remind me of, funny enough, of people in Washington D.C. who have no idea why populists exist. They think the status quo is wonderful. They don't understand why there's a single problem in the country because they're so rich and happy, right? And the MAGA guys that are as deluded by Trump remind me of the same thing. They're like, I don't get it. We know that we can't possibly lose an election. And even though we never ever have any evidence, we're sure that every election we lost is stolen. You sound crazy. And now Trump will show you that he actually did lose the election.
Let's talk about Pennsylvania briefly, right? Because Pennsylvania is a pivotal state for Trump or Kamala Harris to win in order to win enough electoral college votes. In order to win enough electoral college votes based on how the rest of the states are likely to vote, Pennsylvania is critical. Like Trump or Kamala needs to win it in order to win the overall presidential election.
But bottom line, really easy to remember. Look, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin are the three most important states, and of those, by far the most important is Pennsylvania. Both of them have to win Pennsylvania.
Exactly. So with that said, let's go to this video where you'll see where they both stand in the current polling.
Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. And what we see is a tightening race in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All right, this is Harris versus Trump margin in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A month ago, when you looked at the polls, New York Times +4 Harris, +3 Quinnipiac for Harris, Franklin and Marshall +3 for Harris. But look at polls that have come out over the last week or so, and what do we see? We see a much tighter race. We see a tie in the CBS YouGov poll. We see a tie in the CNN SSRS poll. And this, to me, is part of an emerging pattern, which is in a very pivotal state. What we saw was a small Harris lead, but within the margin of error, becoming a race that is way, way, way too close to call at this particular point.
So that's the reason why Trump specifically posted about Pennsylvania. He knows what the stakes are, and he knows that it's important to win that state. And so he's already planting a seed about alleged election fraud or ballot fraud in that state in order to get his supporters riled up. But he hasn't provided any evidence of that. It's a completely fabricated claim. Now, Cenk, did you want to weigh in on that?
Just real quick, later in the show, we're going to talk about the New York Times poll. So the polling showing that Kamala Harris' lead is slipping is real. So those numbers are real. Pennsylvania is very much a toss-up now. I'm going to come back later to the main point of the story, which is Trump threatening to put anyone in prison that doesn't agree to his outrageous lies.
Right.
Okay, but first let's show you what he kind of thinks, apparently thinks.
So here he is at the Moms for Liberty conference. In this exchange, he very clearly concedes what the reality was of the 2020 election results.
We got 63 million votes in the first election. I was told if we get 63 million votes, same number, there's no way we can be defeated. I got 10 or 12 million votes more than that, more than anybody had ever got. We got the most votes of anybody, of any sitting president in history. And he beat us by a whisker.
Now, I can hear in the tone of his voice, it was difficult to admit that, but he did admit that. Biden beat us by a whisker, and that is true in some of the swing states. And by the way, he said the same thing while speaking to Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman had a one-on-one interview with Donald Trump last week. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
But I've done well with debates. I mean, I became president. Then the second time, I got millions more votes than I got the first time. So I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that and lost by a whisker.
But he keeps going back and forth because he also spoke at an event for the Fraternal Order of Police. And during that event, he said, I hope you watch for voter fraud. Watch for the voter fraud because we win without voter fraud. You can keep it down just by watching because believe it or not, they're afraid of that badge. They're afraid of you people. So again, implying that the reason why he lost in 2020 was due to voter fraud that he has failed to provide any evidence of or any evidence for. And look, the only area where the right wing might have a point, and I don't think that this helps Democrats, even though I understand why they're doing it, is there's this effort to get RFK Jr. off of the ballots in swing states. Now it's ironic because he had to fight and carry out lawsuits in order to ensure that he was on the ballots. Now that he has dropped out and he has endorsed Donald Trump, and he was clear that he wanted to drop out and endorse Donald Trump because he wanted to help Trump win. And he was a spoiler candidate for Trump in some of these swing states if he remained in the race. Now he wants his name off the ballots, and the states are really pushing back on it. One of the states that has obliged, although it has created a lot of problems, is North Carolina. Now, North Carolina had already sent out their absentee ballots, And now they have to delay everything in order to essentially send out new ballots and get those people who have already submitted ballots to vote again. So that is an issue. Let's keep it real. But the way that it's gonna seem to Trump voters or Trump supporters for the states that refuse to do this, like Michigan, the state Supreme Court in Michigan just rejected the idea of taking RFK Jr. off the ballot. Trump supporters are gonna look at that as Democrats trying to rig the election.
No, I give no quarter to Republicans on this.
No, I know, I get it, but like.
So no, I don't want to, it's not a 50-50 issue. It's a 99-1 issue. It might be a 100-0 issue. When it's 50-50, we tell you. When, anyways. So there is no a real issue. In fact, Donald Trump is encouraging all the Republican voters, do mail-in voting, do mail-in, do early voting. What happened? What happened? I thought you said it was all fraudulent. No, you don't want the others to do mail-in voting. You want your side to do mail-in voting. And you're a gigantic liar in every way. And he's also a dumbass. So he keeps saying in those interviews, well, I had 63 million and they told me if I get 63 million, I'm gonna win. Yeah, one of your dumbass advisors told you that because they're all stupid and couldn't realize, oh, maybe the other guy might get more. That the new Democratic opponent you have might be a lot more popular than Hillary Clinton was in 2016. And that never occurred to you knuckleheads. So did he get more than 63 million? Yeah, he got all the way up to 74 million, which is an amazing number, okay? And so that is 9 million more, not 10 or 12, but it's 9. But it turns out Biden got 81 million votes. He's like, no, if I got that many, I must have won. That's not how elections work. And I know you can't get into your tiny, tiny little mind that, oh, if I get more votes, I might still lose because the other guy might get even more votes. It hasn't occurred to him. So why is he now saying that he did lose the election? Because his advisors told him, hey, when we do polling, people are super annoyed that you're still lying about the 2020 election. And some people want to vote for you because they can't stand the establishment or they don't like Democrats or whatever it might be. But there's pausing because you keep saying, oh my God, if I ever lose an election, I'll never accept it. And it seems like you're kind of dictatorial and you never want to actually accept democracy. So can you please go out there and lie and say, because Trump, I don't know what he actually thinks, forget that. So, but please say that you lost the election so we can move on, right? So he goes and does 2 interviews and says, I lost the election. But he can't help himself. You can't teach him anything. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.